But let's first listen to the contribution of another European MP, Frank Bokovic, who deals in particular with smart villages. There are several EC funds on this. Interreg funds, funds for inland areas, and the Aosta Valley, of course, should have its own model so as to prevent contradictions and discrepancies between the different areas. Think of smart villages, for example. Of course, they must help residents, especially in remote areas, which are depopulated. And I also recalled the MP Manes in a very important article of Corriere della Sera in the section La Lettura, where a statistical expert calculated that in the years to come, especially in mountain areas in the Apennines and Alps, 285 villages will disappear, and 15 of them in the Aosta Valley. Why? Because of a sort of demographic collapse. Well, the Aosta Valley, together with Alto Adige, will probably experience that in the next 168 years. I think we will all be in a nice place at that time, but in other cases, in the Apennines, according to the study, entire villages will disappear because of demographic reasons. The other aspect related to smart villages, because the Mayor Courmayeur, really advertised and promoted the image of places like this, to attract people. Macugnaga and the great meteorologist Luca Mercalli, he was in Macugnaga, a very small village. Well, from there he said, don't you worry, because with the temperature increase, it will be impossible to live in the cities, and many will move here. And then he even said, especially those living along the Adriatic Sea, because that's going to become a swamp. And with the sea rising, they'll all come to the mountains. And that is a little bit worrisome. It's true that some villages are almost empty, but a huge flow would be a matter for concern. Well, this is all we talked about. Carlo, can you just explain what it's all about, and then we'll see the film. Yes, let me thank the graphic artists who, in this cute way, visually summarized the content that we are developing. Yes, the goal is to create a rich picture, helping us communicate a common vision. It's what Martinet is doing with his notes. Okay, now the video, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, I address you today at the Digital Alps conference to discuss a vital topic concerning the digital future of our rural areas. I have been a vocal advocate for smart villages and the digitalization of rural areas over several years. Last year, I was also a negotiator of the EPP group in the European Parliament on long-term vision for rural areas report, which was adopted with a broad majority last December. This report shows the priorities which were already in 2016 included in the concept of smart villages. My stance underscores the importance of our task in countering the trend towards urbanization. We need public policies and financing to help rural areas thrive. Otherwise, urbanization will continue. Substantial disparities persist between Europe's urban and rural areas, especially in digitalization. 30% of EU's population lives in rural areas, which cover 80% of our territory. However, digital connectivity and services in these areas lack urban regions. This is nowhere more evident than in Alps areas, which face substantial connectivity issues, from broadband connections to logistical infrastructure and remoteness. Bridging this digital gap in rural areas is essential to retain resident residents and businesses. The core concept behind the Smart Villages initiative is to create conditions for a high-quality life in rural areas. This involves establishing basic communal infrastructure, social, cultural, sport infrastructure, and robust broadband connectivity, and generating employment within these regions. These needs span various sectors, from agriculture and forestry, tourism to SMEs, energy sector, mobility, care for elderly people. Some aspects of smart villages are aimed at individual well-being while preserving rural life's essence. Notably, e-health services play a vital role in remote communities, given the older demographic often found in rural areas. However, implementing these services faces barriers, such as connectivity disparities and shortage of digital skills. To advance the Smart Villages strategy effectively, we must encourage sharing best practices across all communities levels and secure diverse funding sources. EU funding sources, like the European Agriculture Fund for Rural Development and Regional Development, Social and Cohesion Funds are crucial. However, it's equally important that national, municipal and regional budgets allocate resources to sustain rural innovations. The Commission also launched the Rural Pact platform that brings together people living in rural areas, local, regional, national authorities and EU institutions, working together for the same goal: populated and lively rural areas where no one is left behind. In conclusion, I urge us all to recognize the importance of our mission. Digitizing our rural areas is not a luxury, but a necessity for the equitable growth and prosperity of our continent. Through strong efforts at all governance levels and the excellent exchange of ideas, we can pave the way for transforming our rural areas into thriving communities of the future. Thank you.
Yes, next year, Slovenia will host a conference, and they even have the sea, and we had it, but just a few million years ago. Who knows what will happen in the future? I'd like to ask our colleagues who are going to participate in the round table to come and meet the journalists. And in the meantime, you are invited to enjoy the coffee break and come back at 11:45. Thank you.